Hello Matt, and welcome to the Deadstone colony. What is this whole atmosphere saying to you?
Well, obviously I don't know too much about the game. I mean, I've watched a short trailer before us, sitting down and looking at this. But I would say from the menu and just from the terrain that I can see around me, it's got a similar feel to Fallout, it seems. Some sort of apocalyptic wasteland. Would I be correct in saying something like that?
It is one type of apocalyptic wasteland, if you include Mars to that. So we're one of the last human colonies on Mars, and the whole planet has been taken over by these sort of mutant human alien things. And yeah, we're trying to survive. We've taken the role of the sheriff, and we're helping the colony survive through its 50 days until help is going to come to arrive. So let's have a quick look at the options. This is running on Unity, and it's by Timeslip Softworks, which is a one-man studio. So just bear that in mind when we're looking at everything. So in the options menu, we've got a single music volume slider. It would be nice to have a sound effects volume slider as well, because the music just knocks down the music. All of the rest of the game volumes are the same sound level, so it doesn't change at all, which is a bit frustrating for me. We can turn the allied health bars either always on or on mouse over. I'm just gonna let's leave it on always mouse over. And we can configure controls, which is again always nice. That's something that we can do. We can also play this on a controller. I prefer the mouse and keyboard approach though, because it just gives you a crosshair so you know where you're actually aiming at, so that's why I prefer it.
I think key bindings for me, that's very helpful because with every game I go into, being a lefty myself, let me know in the comment section you're left-handed as well actually, because we should start a left-handed club, I think. But I always have to go into games and I have to change the controller layout, so it's good this has it because, not all games do.
Yeah, that's good to know. And also we can have a second player as well. It's local co-op only, but you can have a second player if you wish. What I would say is just some of the little cursors here. The textures on them aren't as crisp as like the rest of it. So like we've got this nice sort of stainless steel background here, and then this just looks completely out of place on that. And you will notice that on a couple of the different menus as we go through the game. Let's go back into the main menu. There's actually 4 different graphics types, and you have actually noticed that if you have it on either low or medium, then you won't actually get all of the game modes. So if you can run it on high, then try and run it on high if you play the game. Now we're just going to load up one of our previous games because we've gone through a few of the levels, and this is about 18 levels through the game. And this is our menu then, Matt. So we're Vectra Blake, and we're a level 11 Martian Sheriff. This is our nice portrait down here. I would say I quite like the stylization of the artwork in this. I'm really sort of a fan of this type of artwork.
It does look quite badass, I've got to say. And I do see what you mean now by the... you said it's got some similar aspects to Fallout that we've seen before, or those RPG elements, like those stats you got there. Like, what are these stats?
So yeah, we've got these 4 stats, speed, constitution, accuracy, and mechanics. So speed is what it sounds like. It determines your movements and reload speed, and you can see all of these stats sort of link in with these stats. Then we've got the constitution, hit points, sprint duration, ammo and weight capacity. And this, if you have a low constitution, you can't actually use some of the weapon types, which we'll go into in the shop and armory in a second. The accuracy then obviously is to do with weapon damage and handling. And then we've got the mechanics, which actually allows you to have an increased number of turrets or mines, and we'll show you that in the defenses section.
So how would I go about, if I was playing this game myself, obviously it's just you playing it right now, but if I wanted to play it and I wanted to upgrade these stats, how would I gain points? Because I noticed there's your perk points down there and your stat points.
Yeah.
Do I just gain those from each day that I play through in the game?
Yeah, so you can see here we've got XP there. So every time we level up and get to the next part for the XP, we gain various amounts of stat points, and every couple of levels you gain a perk point. So much like the original Fallout games, it's a similar methodology for that, and one stat point can be loaded into any one of these four, and once it's used, and you can't take it away. So the perks then, we've got 6 at the moment. So like I said, it's 1 for every couple of levels. So these are actually all positive perks, so there isn't anything that's negative that I can see at the moment. So we've got like a cash magnet, and as you can see, actually it's got a requirement. So this one's level 3, whereas speed 4 for this one, level 7, speed 5. So depending on what your stats are here will depend on which perks you can pick, and there is actually a vast menu of perks. Unfortunately, we don't have any perk points, so I can't actually show you any of them.
I can notice there don't seem to be any downsides. When I've played Fallout, like I've recently been playing Fallout New Vegas, because I got that in the Steam sale, that's got some negative effects when you pick one perk over another, but this game doesn't seem to have those, does it?
I said that actually, but I've actually just noticed our lazy boy has given us a slight negative effect. So guns automatically reload and a slight reload time reduction. So I did not notice that before. So
some of them do and some of them don't.
Yeah.
So just a bit of hot luck.
So it's important to read what stats you're picking. Obviously, I've been fairly lazy and just picked this one, and I've actually got a slightly longer reload time. So that's our main screen. We've also got up here a total number of colonists, which this number can deplete or go up throughout the game depending on what happens, and it's harder for it to go up than it is to go down. And we've got our space bucks here. So on that note, let's go into the shop, and here we go. Here's all of the things that are available to buy. Ammunition, we've got armor, a bandolier to increase our ammo we can hold. We've got medkits, got some det packs, and then we've got 2 weapons that are available. These seem to unlock as you go through the different levels and level up as well, and you do need certain points for it. So let's go into this shotgun. So this one, we need a minimum constitution of 7, which we don't have, and it costs 800 space bucks.
Now Andy, do you know my favourite aspect of the shop that I've noticed so far?
What's that, Matt?
That would be the fact that I noticed you're talking about space bucks. Does that mean no microtransactions in this game?
Yeah,
at all.
It's all in-game money. There is no microtransactions at all. Yeah, that's right. And just as we were saying before, you can notice the same sort of low-res textures on this button, on the buttons either side there. One thing that I would say about this menu is, although it's got the shotgun, it's got all of the stats here, it would actually be nice to be able to take a look at your own armory and compare this weapon to the current shotgun that I've got before you buy it. So that is one thing that is slightly lacking. So if we go into the armory now, we can see it's a similar setup. We can carry 4 weapons, so 1 of each type, a pistol, an SMG, a rifle and a shotgun. But you will notice, Matt, we've got a sort of maximum load limit here.
So does that mean I can become over encumbered like I would in my beloved Fallout games? Can I carry too many guns and become really slow, or?
You can't become over encumbered, no, but it just limits you in carrying the weapons. So for instance, if I wanted to equip this shotgun, it won't let me because we're at our maximum weight and it's exceeded. So we need to up our stats to be able to carry that other weapon.
What if I wanted to equip, like, you know, my whole inventory wanted to be 5 different shotguns or something? Could I do that, or do I have to have like a pistol? You know, is it like a set, types of weapons I have, or can I just be like,
yeah,
my name's Matt and I'm gonna have 10 shotguns? I can't have
I'm gonna have 10 shotguns. I'm gonna have one of each of my fingers. No, it is one per weapon type. So if I try and equip this one into our spare slot there, it just switches out with the other SMG that we've got.
Ah, yes.
So yeah, it's only 1 per weapon type. So that's the armory. You can also see here the different types of ammo that we've got, and also medkits and the det packs, which we'll go into when we actually go into the game. Then we've got our lab, which is where we can upgrade all the weapons. So we can upgrade the individual weapons together, or we can upgrade the turrets, which again we'll go into in the defenses. So all of the weapons are upgradable, but when you upgrade one aspect, like increased damage, it increases it on all of the weapons, which is slightly different to a usual sort of game where it's, you know, each weapon has an upgrade stat. So I actually prefer it this way, because you don't have to spend as much time getting maximum stats. Same with turrets, so like increased damage, increased fire rate, ammo, reload speed, and also damage.
And you can't do this, you can't upgrade any of these aspects whilst playing in-game. You have to do it at this screen.
It's all in between levels. So we can also purchase different types of turrets. So we can purchase, if we had enough money. So this is actually giving me a tutorial screen. So instead of improving basic slots such as damage rate, we can actually buy new turrets. So we've got the scattershot turret now available, but we don't have 400 space bucks, so we can't afford that. So oh well. But let's go into the defenses then. And this is where the sort of tower defense aspects come into it. So in between each of the levels, you go into this screen, or you can go into this screen and reset up your mines. We've got 6, and these go with one of your stats, this sort of engineering stat, and that increases as that stat goes up, and the maximum amount of turrets you can have increases as well. So we've got this one turret, we can demolish it, but we won't get all of the money back. So as you can see at the bottom, we can receive 75% of the cost back. So if we wanted to replace that somewhere else, it's going to be quite detrimental to us, as they cost 1,000.
Is there an exploration aspect? Like, are we limited to a certain map size? Is it just literally that we can walk this road that we can see right now? It's just basically the enemies come from one side, we have to stop them from getting from the other end, and there's not really any kind of exploration factor. It's literally a full-on tower defense. You've got to keep back those enemies from getting to that colony you talked about. That's essentially the concept of this game.
So if we just save all of that and jump into the game, we can actually have a look at the sort of, how it works in conjunction with everything. So it's day 18. The day actually goes to the level number, but again, this is the story mode. We're on the full story. We can go on to a reduced one or no story at all. So it's quite nice that they've given us that option. The artwork, again, really like that, but then we've got some sort of lazy texturing here.
Yeah, pretty blurry textures going on there.
Let's get rid of that. So here we go. If the zombies get past this line, then the colonists start going down, and we don't gain them back unless this sort of story dictates it. It seems I did have 12 colonists at once, and I've let 2 of these zombies through, and I don't have. They haven't replenished.
So from your perspective, Andy, how important would you say, from somebody who loves those story games, how important would you say the story is on this game? Would you say it's purely gameplay driven, like the story doesn't really matter? Or is it, is there some interesting things that we might want to pay attention to in the story aspects?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. I mean, the story is actually fairly good. Oh god, I'm going to have to use a det pack. So, sorry, that was a det pack I just used there. So yeah, the story is actually quite interesting, but like I said, you can actually just go into the no story mode and just completely ignore it. So it's not crucial to the game, but it just adds a bit to it. But I would like to say that the opening cutscene is actually all voice acted, and it's voice acted by an Irish lad, and it's done quite well. But it's a shame that the rest of the game hasn't been voice acted. The rest of it is just reading text boxes.
Yeah, I mean, I personally find it quite difficult to follow a story when it's maybe it's my short attention span, I don't know. But when a game is text-based purely and there's no voiceover, I find it very hard to connect with the story if there is one. Which is why, yeah, like you said, it would be good if there was, voices for the rest of the game and not just like the opening scene. Yeah,
I mean, it possibly is something they could add in later. The developer has actually said that they are going to actively be adding stuff to the game. Now it's complete, so it is something that could possibly be added in. Maybe I don't know. That I feel like that it probably won't be.
And we see these insane. All I can describe them are these glowing zombie alien type creatures that we're seeing. We're seeing very slow enemies, then we're seeing faster ones that glow, and these other ones that, from my perspective, look a little bit like a cat. um, but do we get something crazy, insane enemies the further we get along the game? I mean, is this all the enemies we're seeing right now? Is that all of them, or is there even more?
The game itself says that there's 6 different enemy types. I'm actually sorry. I'm just gonna have to get a health pack because I'm about to die here. Wow. I've actually only seen 3 different types of enemies. So you can see there's the sort of the cat-like ones are actually sort of zombie dogs. So it explains how there's one of the colonies was doing experiments on dogs, and they've all become infected. And
so when they glow, what does that mean? Like when they start glowing around them?
That is actually one of the control enemies. So as far as I can tell, the control enemies give them sort of extra stats and increase their speed and make them a bit more powerful. That guy's not going to escape. So I'll see if I can find one of them. They are lurking about somewhere on the map. We might not see him till the end. Come back.
And now we've got this single turret that we've got with us. Can we have like an insane amount of turrets? Like, could I just go absolutely crazy and have 10 turrets along the sides? Is that something I could do? Or am I limited to a certain amount I can put down?
It depends on your stats. Oh god, this is going to get harder now. It depends on your stats. So like the more your sort of engineering stats go up, the more turrets you can have. But you need the money to deploy the turrets. As you can see here, we've got a burrow. So the enemies are coming out of here now instead of the top of the screen. So it does chuck things like that at you. There's also some of the other different game types. So primarily this is the only map that we have. Let's use a detonator.
And do we have any other plans from the developer that you know of that are like more maps to be added, or has that not really been mentioned yet?
They haven't specified if it's going to be maps they're going to develop the game by, but they are going to add some new features to it. So I assume that could be something that they could look at. And we're just going to lose a colonist.
I noticed we're losing colonies there like there's no tomorrow.
We've only lost one, to be fair, Matt. I'm not that bad.
Well, it looks like, the situation could get a little bit hairy, but I do want to ask you about difficulty modes. So, obviously, I would assume you're playing on normal mode, aren't you?
Yeah, this is currently on normal mode. There's 5 difficulty modes. There's our control demon. So he's the one that was controlling them, making them green. So
if I went as like a ultra hardcore player, I was like, yeah, I'm so good at games. I want to play the hardest difficulty. The hardest difficulty, is it unlocked immediately when you load up the game, and is it really as insane as something like Metro's Ranger mode, where it's like you have a limited number of bullets and your health is dramatically minuscule, and is the hardest difficulty really that hard?
Yeah, so at the moment this is on normal, and as you can see, I'm actually struggling a bit. So there's 2 more difficulties. There's 5 difficulties in total. 2 easier, 2 harder. Let's grab some armor there, and I did try it originally on the hardest difficulty, and I couldn't really get past any of the levels. So it does ramp up quite quickly, it seems.
And so this game is yet, for our Steam users out there, this game isn't actually on Steam yet, but it is on a green light process, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. It's currently in Desura, and they do have a green light for Steam as well. So we'll link both the links below where you can get it in Desura, and also the green light as well, because they do need all of the votes that they can get. And I have to say, I am actually fairly enjoying this, to be fair. It does seem like quite simple in its sort of the way it plays and everything, but it is quite fun, especially sort of trying to get the mines and your turrets in the right place.
I can see, for those who haven't seen it yet, in the spawn point we talked about recently whether single player games were dying and whether some games just have forced co-op. But I think this game, the co-op would be very fun for a game like this, because you can work together. One of you can lead the enemies away whilst the other makes sure that there's none sneaking around getting to the colonies. You know, I can see the cooperative aspects working quite well, and I can see you've got a ridiculous dust storm. I can barely see you, Andy. I'll be honest. This dust storm is just consuming.
This is actually, like I said, there is like primarily just this one map. However, there are different modes it chucks at you. So there's sort of 3 main modes that it chucks at you. One of them's a dust storm, so it obviously limits your view, and every now and again it kicks off your little mini map in the bottom right hand corner. And the mini map is extremely useful in being able to tell where all of the enemies are, so it really limits your progress in that regard. And the other one is a night map, where the night maps are just completely crazy. I'm going to have to run away from them.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, but I don't think there is any flamethrower kind of things like weapons in this game. I would quite, if that's not the case, I would quite like the fact if I could just torch down all of my enemies and spin in a fiery rage. But that's not something you can do right now, is it?
Not that I've unlocked so far. It might be one of the later weapons, but I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I'm going to lose another 2 colonists there. Oh, come back. What I have actually found is the fact that... Oh, Jesus. I'm losing so many colonists. I'm going to have to use a health pack as well. Well, I've actually found that if someone goes across the black line there at the bottom, if you shoot them, they will actually turn around and come back to try and attack you. So
you could do a last minute thing and go and just distract them so that you don't lose somebody.
Yeah, so they do primarily look like they're just going straight, taking a beeline for the colony and right at the bottom, but you can distract them and then get them chasing your ass again, like these 2. And if you get close enough, then they will start chasing you.
And so the price of this game is $6.99, correct?
Yeah, so it's $6.99 on Desura at the moment, and which is approximately $12. Come back here. Yeah, there you go. You can see I've just managed to catch him back. It's $12.99 on Desura. Wrong. It's $12 roughly on Desura, and
well, exchange rates. We get it roughly.
Yeah.
You Americans can work it out. You know, just Google's your friend and all that good stuff.
I've died. I've died. I've gone to the graves. So yeah, it's currently looking to be greenlit, and I'm enjoying it. There's one other game mode which is a bit of a countdown timer, where all of the enemies sort of horde you, and there's a second person in the game which you can like give weapons to, and there's also a turret. But that happens about every 4 levels or so. And what I would say is that would be nice, like in this sort of defense screen where you can set up the turrets, it would just give you a bit of prior warning to the fact that it's going to be a different map type. And because you can set up your defenses like this, and then go into it, and all of a sudden it's a different map.
I mean, the biggest issue that comes back for me is the fact you said right at the beginning that the music volume just affects everything. Now, as we've come to realise that the sound effects and the background noise, like the ambience and background music, doesn't match up with the sound effects. The sound effects are a lot louder, and that's probably something that could be addressed, but it's just a little off-putting for me personally, but not enough to make me not want to buy the game. But with that being said, in terms of buying the game, so people can relate to and understand, whether they'll enjoy this game. What kind of games would you say this is, similar to? What kind of people would you recommend go and buy this game? I said at the beginning about Fallout and liking that RPG elements. Would you say people who like RPG games in general should enjoy this, or is it just for people who enjoy tower defense games?
I would say it's primarily for those that enjoy their tower defense. The RPG aspect is sort of fun in it, but if you're looking for purely an RPG game, I wouldn't sort of recommend it for that respect. So it is for people that just like jumping into these tower defenses, having a bit of a blat, and then jumping out. And I mean, the story is good though. So if you like story and you like tower defenses, then this game's definitely for you.
And so that general in terms of general play time, how many hours do you reckon somebody could, usually get out of this? So we're spending $6.99, and how many hours experience are we getting out of that? Because I could imagine tower defense games for me, they have become repetitive to me in the past. I can't speak for this game as I am just obviously watching you play it. But how many hours do you reckon? Do you reckon it's a 3-hour experience, or a 10-hour experience, or even an hour experience?
I must have pumped about 3 hours into it so far, and I'm about a third of the way through. So you are, for the money that you're spending, you are getting a lot of levels there. And I just hope the other sort of enemies are a bit more interesting as they go through it. I mean, that is really the only gripe about it. It is a bit slower at just introducing the different enemy types. So yeah, that is the one thing that I think could improve slightly in it. Oh, I'm gonna have to check.
But like you said, in terms of, it is on Desura, but on Steam, it's on a greenlit process. So if you do want to see this game on Steam and you only use Steam, you're very adamant that you only use Steam, then you will need to get it greenlit, and we will put that link. I'll make sure to put that link in the description, and you can go there and say yes, I'd like to buy this game, and then hopefully it can get greenlit and you can all enjoy it on Steam as well.
Yeah.
Andy, is there anything you want to say to kind of summarize this game?
So yeah, if you, like we said before, I cannot do this level. I'm really bad at it. So it's tower defense with RPG elements, 6 different enemies, 50 levels. I've enjoyed it so far. If you like those aspects, I'm sure you'll enjoy it too. Just the main issues are that I think is this sort of sound sliders. There's only one main level type. There's a second level type, which is the levels aren't particularly designed in any special ways, and it does take a while for the enemy types to come through. But again, I've enjoyed it. So yeah, that has been Deadstone. All the links in the description below. Thanks very much for watching, and Matt, we'll see you next time when we're back on Earth. Goodbye.